Here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app. Your home smart speaker up on TSN 4. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, Kara Wagland in studio.
We are definitely mailing it in.
Yes, I think
Definitely.
so. Are you speaking on our general attitude? Fact that, what do you mean by that?
I would say just all
Explain
around.
yourself.
I was working late.
Yeah.
You're a little under the weather.
Yes.
We got the weekend. We're staring down the barrel of a weekend.
Yeah, very good point.
We got a big Jays game.
Yes.
Jays series starting this weekend. It's hotter than crap outside.
I know, but like this is such an unnecessary complaint because 9 days out of 10, I'm fine with the juxtaposition of intense heat and freezing cold in here. But I think that is this studio is why I'm not feeling very well, because it is so cold in here all the time.
Yeah.
And I hate the imbalance of life right now in terms of the weather patterns.
Yes.
Because you're right. You're in your car, you got the AC jacked. Then you get out and it feels like 37 degrees outside. It's so hot. Then you walk in here and it's a cellar again. I can't find an equilibrium, and as a result, it's really jamming me up.
Yeah, we get that in
And
the
I
Sports
hate
Center
it.
newsroom too.
It's so cold in here all the time.
But we have, at least like in here, it's cold, but it feels normal. In the Sports Center newsroom, we have such a lack of ventilation that it's freezing, but it's also humid. So you feel like you just feel sticky, and you feel like you could eat the air.
Yeah, that's
but it's
not
still
good.
cold. It's like a terrible combination.
No, that's not good. And right now, again, it's just, you never know what you're going to get. You know what you get when you're outside, which I'm fine with. I'll take that. I'll take hot all the time over hot, cold, extremely hot, freezing cold. It's really bothering me. And as a result, we're trying to grind here.
Yeah, we're gonna get through. We're 2 minutes in, and we're gonna get through it.
Yeah, I'm basically setting the tone for how this is going to play out. This will be a bit of a grind today. Also, the game tonight is on Apple TV.
Yes, people love that.
Which I guess that's the right play if you're trying to get people to buy into that, because it's Jays versus the Angels. But I haven't seen if Ohtani's playing yet. And
I haven't
we're
seen
going to track
if he's
that. I
hitting.
haven't heard one way or the other, because he came out of the game with cramps yesterday. That would suggest to me it's probably a coin flip if he even goes.
Can you imagine if he was supposed to pitch on Friday, they move him up to pitch in Detroit, and now because of whatever was going on with these cramps, we may not even see him this weekend. Maybe they're like, we're just going to let him rest because we're keeping him and we're making a run now.
Yeah.
That would be, I don't know who's angrier right now. The fine people at Apple TV because Shohei's not pitching tonight, or the scalpers who were probably looking to sell some sweet tickets tonight with Shohei on the mound.
Yeah, I would think the secondary market has taken a big, big hit. Now, it is Friday. The dome's going to be open. They've been selling out anyway.
It's going to be so hot in there.
It's going to be really hot in there.
Ooh.
Like, I haven't seen anything on ventilation plans with all these upgrades they're doing at the park. I would assume, like, the lower bowl will have ventilation. The 500 level, they're like, you're on your own.
Yeah, it is.
You
what
can
it
do
is
whatever
up
you
there.
want. Yeah, up there, eat hot dogs, drink beers, do whatever
You're
you
so
want.
sauced anyway.
Yeah, it's not. We're not going to concern ourselves with what you people are doing up in the 500 level. But you're right about the secondary market. We were discussing that yesterday. Like, after it got announced, I think on Wednesday, that he was going to pitch the first game of the doubleheader yesterday, immediately tickets just plummeted for the game tonight. On the secondary market, they're still expensive.
Sure.
They're still going for a certain price. And you got Gosman on the mound tonight, who I'm not sure if he's 100% yet, but he's on the mound. You got Lucas Giolito making his debut for the Angels. So you're
Still a good matchup.
You're witnessing something here for
but
sure.
you're not witnessing the unicorn.
You're not seeing Ohtani pitch.
Which is what everyone wants to see. I actually had a bit of a greasy situation. I'll get your take on this. So a friend, who shall remain nameless, was asked to go to the Jays game tonight with a buddy of his who got the tickets through work. His boss gave him the tickets and said, go enjoy the Jays game.
Okay.
And then when it was announced originally that Ohtani was going to pitch on Friday, that said boss took the tickets back. Is that not the greasiest thing?
That's an outrageous decision.
But what do you do when it's your boss? Here, take the tickets back.
I guess you don't really have a choice. You probably feel like you're obligated to give the tickets back. But I don't know. That might be worth losing your job over.
Yeah, especially if, you have to feel real good right now because with Ohtani not pitching, you kind of stick it to
does
your
the boss now give him back? Like, is it a reversal again?
But I feel like it's too far now. You can't.
Now you can't accept
it back. The takesy backs.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's too much.
Absolutely. I don't think you want to work for someone like that. I don't.
That's
I
a
think
career change.
That
right
might
there.
be immediately a career changing. Like, get on LinkedIn. You better find something else because you can't trust that person. That is not a foxhole person. That's the most gutless maneuver in ticket exchange. There's nothing worse than that.
You could get away with that is if you upgrade that person and say, hey, I'm going to need those tickets back on Friday, but I'm going to get you behind home plate on Sunday. Maybe.
Yeah, still, I don't think so. Because, once you've handed those tickets out, they're gone. And that other person
agree.
now mentally is in a space where they're thinking, this is what I'm doing with my Friday night. And now you're going to retract that. I don't think there's any way of redeeming it. I mean, unless you're going to go above and beyond. Like, it's one thing Sunday, but what if the guy has plans and he can't go Sunday?
It's true.
Or what if he's already moved stuff around to go to the game on Friday and now you're jamming him up because he already went to his significant other who had other plans, told them to cancel it because now they had tickets to go see the Angels in town.
It's a greasy
there's
move, but
no
you got to
dancing
eat
around
it
it.
because it's your boss.
Yeah, I guess
you got to transfer those tickets back.
Yeah. Yeah, ultimately, if you want to continue to work there, you probably don't really have a choice.
Just awful.
But it's a really, really greasy move. And I'd love to know if the boss was thinking about circling back afterwards, saying, actually, now that I think about it, go ahead.
Actually, but you got to come up with an excuse. You got to make it seem like it's not about Ohtani. You know, like, oh, my plans change. I can now only go Friday, so I'm going to have to get those tickets back.
Do they have season tickets, though? Is it a scenario where
I think it's a corporation, so they probably have seasons. But
okay.
It's just, it's bad all around.
Yeah,
There's
not
no
a good
way to come out of that in a diplomatic manner.
No, it's not. It's horrible leadership is what it is. It's ultimately horrible leadership. You're not a foxhole guy, and there's really no other way of explaining it.
Production is going down at that company next week for sure.
That's
productivity.
Horrible way to go about your business. And I hope these people are listening right now.
I hope they are.
Because I'm guessing it's someone. Is it someone?
I know the friend who told me about it is probably listening right now. And he's probably having a good little chuckle about it.
Well, shut up. That story's getting around, and it should get around because that's uncalled for. But yeah, Ohtani obviously not going to pitch tonight. He won't pitch throughout the weekend. I can't imagine cramps would keep him out for the whole weekend, but there is a chance he won't play tonight. Again, Grappler will be on it. He'll keep tracking it. The Jays lineup's out, and it looks a little bit different. Whit Merrifield is leading off tonight.
Yes.
George Springer is hitting in the 5-hole tonight, which I think is probably the most diplomatic way about going about this for John Schneider and company, because Springer has been horrendous at the plate.
1 for 22 over the last week.
Yeah.
Hitting 170 over the last 2 weeks.
Awful.
It's not good.
Like a black hole when he is up to the plate. Even in wins, it's 0 for 4, 0 for 5. Mm-hmm. I think he had an 0 for 6 against the Dodgers over the weekend. But they didn't embarrass him and put him 8th in the
way
lineup.
Down, yeah.
So there is a happy medium here of we're just going to move you down. We're going to try to keep you cooking here. But we're going to put you in a position where you need to realize you're still important. And we're going to need your bat. And they need Springer. That's kind of been a consistent theme on this show this week. Whether it's us talking about it or different guests coming on. A big picture, you got to get to the playoffs first, clearly. It is not a guarantee the Jays are going to – they got to win a lot of ball games. I guess I was going over it last night. I think they basically have to remain consistent with what they've done.
But their schedule's getting harder.
But it's going to get harder. Yeah. And if they dip below 500, they probably miss.
Yeah.
They probably got to go. I think they got 59 games left. They're sitting at 57 wins. I think they got to get to 90 wins. They need at least 33 wins. So you got to go above 500. You got to probably continue to play at that 550, 560, 570 clip you've been at pretty consistently throughout the year. But you might have to get to 92 wins. You might have to get to 92 or 93. I doubt it, but it's possible. But you certainly cannot finish with 87 wins and expect to get lucky and get in.
No, not when a bunch of those games to finish off the season are against AL East rivals.
Right.
But don't you get the feeling, it's funny because I was thinking about it last night doing SportsCenter. I'm like, the Jays have been a good team, especially since the All-Star break. They've been one of the better teams in the American League, but there's still a feeling like they're not doing that well. even though by all intents and purposes, this season has been a success to this point, it just kind of, and John Schneider pointed it out recently, like he still doesn't feel like the team has necessarily clicked on all cylinders for any long stretch of time this season. And that's kind of what I'm feeling like. I have no reason not to be optimistic, except I don't really feel that great about how the team's been performing.
Yeah, and my theory on that, I would look at two different things. One, what you said about the AL East. 7-20 against the AL East, it hangs over this team. Like there's a bigger record, the actual record involved, but 7-20 against a monster of a division, I think plays a factor in the psyche that like something had been missing at points this year. And then I think it's more about the individual players. And in this particular case, it's Springer. And they've got to get to a point where once you get in, if you're clicking once you get in, it's all good. It doesn't matter if you weren't clicking in May, June, July into August. If you're clicking by late September and into October, there's no reason why this team can't win a lot of ball games, if not win a World Series. But when you have Springer struggling the way he is, Bichette just broke out of a slump big time.
Yeah.
Last two games, he was phenomenal at the plate. He was struggling before that. Vladdy's going to hit like 24 home runs. Chapman had a great April, and since then, like I think that's
been very up and down for a lot of the key players.
And I think that's what it is. Like the Manoah story has been the story of the year, and it's negative.
Yeah.
So I guess it's more of a psychological thing, I think, when you look at the Jays, and I feel the same way. Like if you didn't watch anything, you didn't look at anything. Let's say you were living on Mars and you didn't have access to anything, and you just showed back up today in Toronto and you looked at their standings, you say, okay, that's pretty good. You know, like that's not bad. They're in a pretty good place. I figured that's about what they would be when I left in March. Yeah. Yet a lot of the main storylines have been kind of glass half empty stories.
Yeah.
And the Manoah one in particular. Like the Manoah story is the story of 2023, and it is 100% negative.
It's overshadowed everything else.
There isn't a modicum of positivity in that. It is 100% negative. So it's like you can't get past that when you're talking about the 2023 Jays.
It's like this big rain cloud, and maybe that's why it has felt like it hasn't been so great of a season. But the more you think about it, I do feel optimistic, and here's why. Because when you look at, we talked about kind of the core players have been the ones that have struggled at certain points, and especially since the All-Star break. You know they're going to turn around. Bo's already starting to turn around. Vladdy's starting to come around. Springer, you hope, starts to come around. But it's the role players that often make a big difference, and those guys are the ones that have really been picking it up. The Whit Merrifields, the Brendan Belts, they've been doing really well. So if the big boppers can kind of turn it around, and they have time to do that, you get hot at the end of the season, which is historically, you go into the playoffs with momentum, you can be a wildcard team and win the World Series. Mm-hmm. Like, that's kind of how baseball works. And you have the depth you have in the starting rotation. Yeah, there's questions about the starting rotation, but you have options. And that's not something that the Jays typically have. The bullpen's been good. They're getting a little tired. It'd be great to add an arm.
Yep.
But there's a lot of like silver lining-esque things that you're starting to see emerge with the Blue Jays that the next 2 weeks are going to be huge. And the next few series that they have coming up, because if you can get those guys rolling, keep the Whit Merrifields and the Brandon Belts, the Danny Jansen's starting to come around at the clip that they have been. And then you see where Ryu slots back in. They have some options.
Yeah.
Something good could happen here.
Well, and it's not like you're in a position where you're 7-8 games back and you need a miracle.
They're only 5.5 back of the division.
Of Baltimore, and they're in town for 4 on Monday.
Now, Baltimore certainly feels like a team of destiny right now, but...
I would argue the same, but I don't think that's insurmountable.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Baltimore is by any means a lock, considering what we thought of Tampa 2 months ago. It felt like Tampa was going to win 105 games and run away. Now they're the ones chasing. But you
also know Boston and New York are going to do something at the trade deadline. They're not teams that are going to be happy to be sitting where they currently sit in the standings. They don't want to be in the basement of the division. They're not used to that. And
Aaron Judge is returning tonight. So yes. Judge is coming back. We'll see what kind of status he has, how much production he can actually supply. Red Sox have reinforcements coming back. You know, the Sox have won 4 in a row. They're right on the heels of the Jays. Yeah, it's going to be a race.
And the AL East.
It's going to be a race.
Perpetually the group of death. It's
wild.
Ridiculous.
The Yankees are the worst team on record in the American League East. They're 54-48.
That's nuts.
Yeah. They would be a full game up on anyone in the Central, the last place team in the East.
And yet they're looking at it going, we need a spark. They're almost, I don't know, not necessarily forcing Aaron Judge back in, but who knows how healthy he is. But they're like, we need you back.
Well, for $40 million a year, you better come back.
Yeah, it's time, whether you're ready or not.
Well, you got a hurt toe? Like, are you kidding me? You better get back, dude. You can't miss that many games when we got a race cooking here and you got a toe issue. That's not going to fly. But, yeah, I mean, there's trades going on, right? Like I saw Joe Kelly, Lance Lynn, they're on the way to the Dodgers. Yep. David Robinson was traded last night from the Mets to the Marlins.
Kendall Graveman on the move.
Kendall Graveman is on his way to, was it Houston, I believe?
Yeah, going from the White Sox.
So the White Sox are out, which they've been out for a long time. They're a terrible team. But you're waiting for the other awful teams to concede and start really flipping pieces depending on what pieces might be available. And, you know, I think it's imperative the Jays, they do something. Like, I don't know what that's going to be. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know what they're willing to give up. But if they replicate,
like there's going to be I don't feel like there's a big splash coming.
Well, I'm not sure there is either. I'm not bracing for it.
Yeah.
What I'm
I
saying
don't
is I think
they need one.
Either. Oh, I think they could use one because look what we just said about the East. Like the East, you're in a death race here.
But where do you really upgrade?
Well,
like a right-handed bat would be great.
Yes.
Another reliever. If you could get a really good setup guy to have like just a dynamic 1-2 punch at the back end of your bullpen
to help
Romano, that would be great.
Sure.
But I don't know that there's like looking at who's out there. I mean, they have everything they need if their players can perform.
Right. Like you can always find upgrades.
You can always upgrade.
You can always get better.
But is it worth what you're going to have to spend for the upgrade? I guess.
That's in the eye of the beholder, right? And that comes down to the stomach of Ross Atkins, Mark Shapiro, and ownership. What they're willing to give up.
Hasn't been.
Yeah, especially at the deadline. Like last year's deadline was incredibly underwhelming. They still, got to the dance, and I think regardless of reinforcements between now and Tuesday, I would think we wake up on Wednesday and still feel good about their chances of making the playoffs. But it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
And, the psyche of the room, how much you're going to help these guys, what kind of message you're sending if you have another quiet trade deadline. These are all things I'm sure they're trying to reason with right now.
Yeah.
They got to figure it out.
It's going to be an interesting few days.
Once it comes and goes, it's gone.
That's it.
Right? You wake up the next day, that's it. It's over. All right, so Jays Angels tonight. We will tee that up throughout the afternoon. We had a signing in the NHL yesterday. We got Sean Payton backpedaling. We'll tell you a little bit about that. And we just got news Ohtani is in the lineup tonight.
All right.
So there you go. Ohtani is playing tonight. So more on that still to come. Carol Wagland's in here. I'm Bryan Hayes. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, so Ohtani is playing tonight. If you're going down to the game, he is going to be in the lineup. He will be taking at bats. I guess Mike Trout is traveling with the team, too. He tweeted out he was on his way up to Toronto. Yeah.
He's on the IL for a few more weeks now. You think he would just stay at the rehab facility?
Yeah, it doesn't, he's not going to play this weekend. He's not, I don't know how long they're on the road for. I'm sure they're on the East Coast now for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But.
Stay around the team, I guess?
Yeah. I guess now that they're buying and they're going for it, Mike Trout's going to make sure that he's kicking around. And, when he returns, that's going to be a serious reinforcement. But we were talking yesterday on the air about the Joe Burrow situation. Because Burrow went down right before we came on the air. Like within minutes of us coming on the air, he was being carted off the field. And I guess Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Bengals, was given an update that it will be several weeks.
Oh, I didn't see the several. I saw the Bengals tweet about people have been tweeting the Bengals offering their calf muscles for Joe Burrow.
Yes, that would not be surprising. But yeah, Joe Burrow calf strain will be out a few weeks. I should get that right. A few weeks. So maybe that's only camp. But
I saw a report online today saying that it's sources close to Burrow are saying still buy the tickets for Vegas. So which week are they?
Well, I'm guessing, did they start week 1 in Vegas?
I'm guessing. That would make sense.
Or is the Super Bowl in Vegas?
I mean, the Super Bowl is definitely in Vegas, but that's not.
I would assume I thought that's what they were talking about.
Oh, yeah, because they're not playing Vegas at all during the regular season.
I thought it was, hey, if you think you're going to Vegas for the Super Bowl because we have Joe Burrow.
Week 1, they're in Cleveland. Okay.
Yeah, don't sell
all right,
tickets.
So it could still be a little.
Yeah, I think it's.
But yeah, they're still feeling like they're going to get there. Okay. I mean, that was scary to watch. The way he was hopping around, I was worried, like Achilles or something.
Yeah, that was my first reaction, too, was kind of an open air, standalone. He blew his Achilles out, and if that happens, you're done. Then you, genuinely have issues possibly the rest of your career.
Oh, man.
You can re-aggravate that or continue to just blow out your Achilles. But if he's out a few weeks, that's fine. He's got a history of missing camp and obviously still showing up. But I saw Rich Eisen tweet out that, as you said, they got a tough sched early, at Cleveland, at home to Baltimore.
Ooh.
Those are your first 2 weeks. Those are 2 divisional games. And without Joe Burrow, you could be in trouble.
Trevor Siemian.
Trevor Siemian. That's who you want backing up.
That is man, they live and die by Burrow, eh?
Yeah.
Over.
And Burrow, I was listening to someone today, I think it was on ESPN, saying, now take this time to knock out the long-term contract for both parties. If you're Burrow, basically this scares you enough. Let's get this thing done.
Sure.
When I return, I want pen to paper. It's going to be the biggest deal in NFL history.
But it's not a big enough injury to affect the contract, so
no,
fine that way.
No, the Bengals it's not like leverage has left Burrow here. And if you're the Bengals, you're probably thinking, you know what? To ease his mind, let's work this out as well so that when you return, it's all good. Protect the asset, throw this guy a bone.
Get it done now.
Get it done now. Yeah, exactly. And then there's a positive story to what is a negative one early in camp, the fact that he's not going to continue to practice.
Crazy. Those first 2 weeks of NFL training camp are just the injuries that just go down. It's so tough to watch.
Yeah.
Jalen Ramsey the other day, too. Luckily, the ACL's intact, I was reading, but man.
Yeah. I guess a meniscus thing, they're going to cut off part of his meniscus and
gosh.
Eventually he'll return, but he's got a full guaranteed contract, I think. So I don't get the impression Jalen's too concerned.
No, Jalen's going to be okay.
He'll be okay. But
man, and then you know what? I actually wanted to, speaking of NFL, I wanted to ask you something because you're a Packers fan. Mm-hmm. Is this how your team conducts themselves?
Okay.
So today it was linebacker Jonathan Garvin's birthday. Mm-hmm. The Packers tweet out a lovely photo of him saying, "Smile, it's your birthday." And then hours later, they release him.
Right. We've seen this before.
So gutless.
I know it is. You're right. But do you think the coach and GM are running the social media content?
I mean, to be fair, it looked like a partnership, sponsored tweet with Invisalign, and that's why I said "Smile, it's your birthday." But still, talk about it was probably a pre-scheduled.
That's exactly
social media post, but oh man, that timing is awful.
It is horrible timing. We've seen these happen before. It always happens in the NFL because they just cut people. In the NFL, it seems to always happen. Hey, happy birthday, we love you. Cut same day. I swear I've seen this 7 or 8 times before, and it definitely makes you feel. You feel for the guy it's his birthday and he's cut.
Smile, it's your birthday.
Yeah, but
you don't have a job.
I guarantee you, to your point, if it's sponsored, then it's probably in the tank already. And Matt LaFleur is not sitting there saying, smile. I got to post this on our Twitter account, knowing in 2 hours I'm going to cut you.
Now come into my office. We got to have a chat.
Yeah, I don't think the head coach and the GM are working in conjunction with this social media intern that's in charge of making sure Invisalign gets what they need.
First, Jordan Love is talking like he owns the Bears.
Yeah.
Was that on Father's Day or whatever it was?
It.
And now they're tweeting out happy birthday to guys they're releasing. This is your Green Bay Packers.
I'll tell you what, I'm getting a lot of positive feedback on Jordan Love.
Yeah?
I am so jacked for this NFL season, which this is gonna bother a lot of people, especially Bears fans, because the Bears have been so bad for so long. They haven't had a quarterback basically since Cutler had that big year. Cutler had a couple of big years there where they were a legitimately good team. But prior to that, it's been a long time.
A while.
And there's a number of teams in the NFL that have been seeking out a stud quarterback for a long time. This is how spoiled I've been as a Packer fan with Favre into Rodgers. It got kind of boring. It was just routine. You knew what they were probably going to do. You knew that Rodgers was going to chase an MVP and they were probably going to dummy everyone in the division. Last year, that didn't happen, obviously, and they soiled themselves on Sunday Night Football week 18, I guess it is now. And that was a pathetic loss. It was a horrible performance in the second half of that game. But I am more fired up to watch Jordan Love play and to start the season than I was for a Rodgers start in a long, long time.
I haven't seen any reports out of camp.
Oh, he's looked good.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it's all like...
I mean, they need him to look good.
They do need him to look good, and I'm not bracing for him to be great. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. But anything is possible in the NFL. And as long as he shows flashes that he could develop into a good quarterback, that's probably all you need. But it's just something new, something different.
You know what? It can't be any worse than the Denver Broncos last year.
Valid.
Can't be any worse.
I talked to Sean Payton about that.
Who's now walking his comments back.
Yeah. Sean Payton, who absolutely tore a strip off Nathaniel Hackett.
Poor Hackett.
The hack got destroyed.
Just a hack job.
Who's still working as an offensive coordinator in New York with Aaron Rodgers. And Payton is claiming that he had his Fox Sports hat on. He forgot.
There's so much chess being played in Denver right now. Like everyone talking about, those comments originally were made to take the spotlight off Russell Wilson, and this was Sean Payton making a calculated move, and now all the blowback, he's going to walk it back just a little bit.
Yeah.
And, sorry, guys, I made a mistake. I need to have more of a filter.
Although I don't remember him being that bold on Fox.
Yeah, I don't.
I thought he was very, kind of diplomatic on Fox. Really smart guy. He's got a sharp tongue. He always has. Mm-hmm. But I don't remember him being Mr. Hot Take.
Especially not about other coaches.
No, not that
blasting. Seems like you're breaking a golden rule when you're calling out other coaches in your own fraternity.
And you were on Fox when Nathaniel Hackett was performing, in your opinion, the worst coaching job in history. I don't remember him saying that last year. I don't remember a headline, Payton calls this the worst coaching job he's ever seen. It's a complete cop-out. He's trying to save himself, but at the same time, not, because to your point, he even said, he's like, listen, it's out there now. I said what I said.
But I loved,
what are you going to do? Claim that it was out of context?
Yeah. I loved how Robert Saleh responded. How he was like, yeah, we're not even paying attention to them, and we're playing, when we play them in week 4, which they're not even playing them in week 4. They're playing them in week 5, which sends the message that we're not even looking at our schedule to care about you guys.
Right.
Saleh just played that so well. But now everyone, this is exactly why the NFL is so good at what they do. Everybody is now watching that Broncos-Jets game on week 5.
Yeah.
Because, man, the storylines are going to be insane.
Well, Payton better show up. Payton has put a target on his back. He better have a great coaching campaign.
And he had better have Russell Wilson ready to go.
Yes.
Because that is the narrative heading into this one now, is that's what was missing, was a good head coach. And now with Payton, Russell's going to look like the Russell of old.
Yep.
And they're going to have it together.
Okay, I got a couple of 1v1s, something you're very familiar with on
We do a lot of 1v1.
All right. Looking over the next, calendar year, let's say, or the upcoming season, remainder of a season, what have you.
Okay.
Which athlete and their story is more intriguing? Okay, we'll start with a couple of NFL ones because of what we've just been talking about.
More intriguing. Okay.
More intriguing for you and why?
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers, first year in New York, or Russell Wilson, second year in Denver?
Ooh. Coming with the fire right off the hop.
Absolutely.
Aaron Rodgers is always more intriguing to me than Russell Wilson. For me, Russell Wilson seems like he's on the tail end of things. And I don't know. I think Sean Payton will help things. Mm-hmm. I think he's got a good secondary to work with. But I don't know the Broncos were ever going to be as good as everyone thought they were going to be heading into last season. I'm expecting slightly better things. Is it as intriguing to me? I'm curious. But everything that's been now set up in New York with the Jets, with Rodgers stepping in, the attitude Zach Wilson seems to have in the background, the additions they've made. Now they might get Dalvin Cook. And I'm talking to people and they're thinking, oh, I still don't think the Jets are going to be that good. I got into a massive argument with a producer in SportsCenter the other day because he's like, it's still the Jets.
Because it's the Jets.
Good. Except they look great. They had a great defense last year.
Yeah.
They added some phenomenal pieces. I think this is going to be a really good team.
They should be. They should be really good. But
you're not believing.
Well, I'll give you two teams. One in the AFC, one in the NFC, who are leading the hype train.
Okay.
Everyone's saying they're going to be the best. And I will believe it when I see it because of their histories and because of what they constantly do year after year after year.
Okay.
The Jets in the AFC and the Lions in the NFC. The Lions are the Lions.
I mean, I agree with you. The Lions are more
Goff.
Lions.
The fact that they are opening the season in Kansas City. I haven't looked at the recent line. I'm guessing it's probably it'll close at like Chiefs 9.5. I think Kansas City absolutely destroys them night one of the season. Yeah. Absolutely destroys them.
I could see that.
Yes. And listen, the Lions, what did they win 8 games last year? Went into Lambeau, did what they did. Final game of the season, impressive. Dan Campbell, I like Dan Campbell, but it's a bit much. Like, we get it. You do push-ups with the boys. Like, not necessary.
I like the culture.
Yeah, but you still have Jared Goff.
Yeah, but their offense was putting up numbers last year. I don't know. We'll
at home. A lot of stuff on the home.
I would lean, as when we're talking about teams, as far as like teams that historically just can't figure out a way to put it together, I would lean more in favor of the Jets turning it around than the Lions.
I probably would too.
Because there are so many new pieces, and the Jets weren't that bad last year.
But the Jets are in a much more difficult division and conference. So I guess I would counter that with, based on the rosters, I think the Jets could be and probably will be a better team than the Lions, but I think the Lions have a better chance of making the playoffs.
But I would also argue that the AFC East, I'm going to get some hate on this one, may not be as tough as everyone thinks it's going to be.
Really?
There are so many factors that are just kind of hanging in the balance right now. Like, you're arguing the Jets are still the Jets. They may not be that good. I think they're going to be a really good team. The Dolphins, if we don't know what version of Tua we're getting, Jalen Ramsey is now down. If injuries ravage the Miami Dolphins, we've seen what happens to them when Tua's not under center. Mm-hmm. The Buffalo Bills are kind of the stalwart there. I mean, the Patriots got to figure out what they're doing. But the Bills weren't good at the end of the season. They haven't done anything to establish their run game. So what are we doing that's different?
Well, I hear what you're saying. I mean, Tua is the ultimate X factor based on health. Like, I don't see him playing 17 games. Like, that seems like a borderline impossibility based on his career. So can you get 14? If you do, I think they're a playoff team. I think the Dolphins are loaded. And I kind of like that Mike McDaniel guy. I kind of like him. Mike McDaniel. He's a little bit goofy, but I like him.
He's fun. He's smart.
Yeah, and he's a smart coach. And again, if Tua's healthy, I think they're a playoff team.
But
I think the Bills are a playoff team.
It's a big question mark. 100% I think the Bills, before Bills Mafia jumps all over me. I do think the Bills are a fantastic team. But they didn't improve.
The Bills didn't improve,
and we even saw them drop off a little bit near the end of last season into the playoffs. Like, those are games they need to be winning.
I agree with you on that. All right, so where were we here? What was the question?
I don't know. We got through 1-1v1.
Rodgers
more
versus Wilson.
I say Rodgers.
You're on Rodgers.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to come off as a passive-aggressive jilted X here. But I'm going with Russ as more intriguing. But let me explain why. The Rodgers stuff is obvious here. But Aaron Rodgers, I think, has solidified his legacy. He is going to the Hall of Fame, first ballot guy. You could argue he's a top 10 quarterback of all time. You could argue he's a top 5 talent of all time.
Sure.
I think Russ, in order to make the Hall of Fame, has got to redeem himself. I think he's got to win in Denver. Maybe not a Super Bowl.
But do you think he's capable?
Well, I don't know. And that's where the intrigue comes from. That's why. I'm not sitting here predicting that it will happen. But I want to see if he can. Because if he can get back to where he was at his height in Seattle, and they win in a division like that, where he's got to go up against Mahomes twice, Herbert twice.
That's a tough. Well,
that's really tough division.
Be a tough division.
Vegas is going to likely be pretty bad. Yeah. But for me, how he matches up with Payton, what he does in terms of his legacy, because he was getting goofed on last year. Like, he was the brunt of a lot of jokes. Rodgers has never been a guy that you laugh at. Like, Rodgers will be fine. I think Rodgers will perform.
Well, he's going to have a little chip on his shoulder too.
Yeah.
Which Rodgers,
they're both intriguing. They're both intriguing.
Yes.
But for me, I think Russ needs a bounce back to save his legacy.
I don't disagree. I just don't care about Russ that much. He's intriguing to me.
I will grant you that as well. He's not. I don't find him overly interesting. I think I don't know.
He makes me cringe.
There's
the whole,
a lot of cringe.
Broncos, let's ride. Like,
there's
he just
a lot
makes
of
me
cringe. Yeah, there's a lot of cringe. Working out on the plane on the way to London. There's a lot of cringe.
Yes, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of cringe. All right, continuing with this thing.
Okay.
Bill Belichick or Sean Payton?
Which one scares me more? Or
which one would be we know the better interview would be Payton. But which storyline this year? Belichick trying to really salvage what's going south for him in New England, or Payton, first year on the job in Denver?
I would say Sean Payton intrigues me more because it's going to be just a circus. Like, if he's already making headlines the way he has and we're just getting into training camp, this is going to be an absolute circus, and I am here for all of it. Bill Belichick, he might implode if things don't start to turn around. But he's so set in his ways and how he does things, and he's not willing to adapt to maybe the way he needs to adapt to push this specific team forward. He might just call it a day. I mean, would he retire?
He's going after Shula, I think it is, right? He's going after the wins record, but he's way back. It's not like he's 3 wins away.
I don't know, man.
He may need a fresh start, which is crazy. Guy's in his 70s, and he's been in New England for 25 years. He's not going
anywhere. He's not going to leave New England.
I don't think he would on his own.
But would he walk into the sunset on such a low note in his career?
I think
he's essentially proven everybody right. When you ever had the debate of who needed who more, Tom Brady or Bill Belichick, well, we know the answer to that
clear
now.
Cut. Yes, Belichick
That's got to grind Bill.
Right, but it's not going to happen with Mac Jones.
No.
I can't picture a scenario where they're a playoff team this year. I can't picture them winning more than 7 games.
I don't even know what their identity is.
I don't think anybody does. Yeah. But that's why I lean Belichick.
So you're leaning Belichick.
I am going to lean Belichick because of all this. I guess it's another legacy. How ugly could it get? If it's really, really ugly and guys are turning on Belichick and the media has been waiting to turn on Belichick.
Oh, yeah.
There are people in Boston that have been biting their lip for 20 years. You're like, I am going to get this dude. When he struggles and he's on pace for 4 wins, I am going to bury him. I don't think Belichick cares, nor should he. But it's going to be an interesting story.
Those press conferences are going to be painful.
And how protective is the fan base of a guy that got them to 9 Super Bowls, and they won 6 of them.
I think last year was maybe his buffer year. How many years are you going to accept?
Isn't that amazing?
Mediocrity.
You go to 9 Super Bowls, and there's a chance that, 4 years removed from the last one? And fans are like, that's it,
Boston
Bill.
sports fans are cutthroat. What have you done for me lately?
Yeah, not going to cut it, Bill. Not going to cut it. All right, more intriguing over the next, calendar year. Shohei Ohtani and his story, or Lionel Messi and his? Messi versus Ohtani.
Ohtani for me, way more. It's not even close. Messi's already landed. He knows where he's going. We know what to expect from Messi. He's no Tom Brady, but
Valid.
Shohei Ohtani, 100%. He's the unicorn. The fact that he's still surprising us, pitching the 1-hit complete game shutout the other night and hitting 2 dingers, he's still finding ways to do something different almost every day.
Yeah.
The fact that the Angels have now said they're not going to trade him, but I feel like everyone in the back of their head still feels like there's a 2% chance before the trade deadline because nothing's finite yet. And then where is he going to go in the offseason? There's so much meat on that bone.
Yes.
I'm way more intrigued by Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, I'm going to qualify this by saying I look at it, there's 3 options for me. I will say Ohtani as well if he walks. If he returns to the Angels, I'm done with this guy. Done. I don't want to hear about him anymore. I don't want him to tell me that he's all about winning or whatever. You go back to this joke of an organization that never wins anything and always screws up, then it's Messi. If he walks, it's Ohtani all day. I want this guy to walk so badly. It's not about coming up to Toronto. I just want to see him go somewhere where I feel like he can be an it factor. And listen, maybe the Angels prove me wrong, prove the whole world wrong, and they put it together here. They're only 3 back of the Jays, right? They get a sweep this weekend. They're sitting there in maybe a wild card spot. And the way he plays, you detailed it perfectly. The guy is unbelievable. But if he goes back to the Angels, that's really going to personally bother me. Messi, I want to see how big he can get over here because the first impression has been massive. I have a sneaking suspicion that's going to fade a little bit. Not in terms of Miami, not in terms of when he goes to a new market. When he comes up here and plays here, assuming he will, it'll be crazy when he's up here. But are we in Toronto going to be tracking Inter Miami playing, Kansas
100%.
City?
We've already been leading them on SportsCenter every time Messi's been playing.
Because it's new. But 20 games from now, I don't buy it.
I think we still will, though. There's just certain athletes that move the needle, and we follow those guys that move the needle.
There's no needle movement right now because we're in July. When this guy's playing FC Kansas City or whatever the hell it is, and the Leafs are playing that night, and there's a Sunday night football game featuring Mahomes, there's no way Messi's starting SportsCenter. In fact, I'm not sure he even makes it. It may be a late read on the way out. All right, everybody, by the way, Messi.
2 goals for Messi.
City. Hey, see you later. Honestly.
It might be.
Because MLS, it's not going to compete with the big boys once the big boys are cooking again.
That's true. So less intriguing for Messi then.
Yeah,
right?
I guess
That's just
so.
that points right at Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
You know what, though? If Shohei
so.
decides to stay, I want to sit down in a room with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani and just ask them one question. Why? Why? You're not going to win in LA. You're two of the best players in baseball that this sport is ever going to have seen. Why? Why not? Mike Trout, why resign? Why stay? Why just watch your career die in LA with having been in 3 playoff games?
Yeah. They made the ALDS that got swept.
Yeah, 3 playoff games in 13 seasons. And Shohei has never been there.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. And obviously if the Angels go on a run here and they get in.
But they're not going to win. They might make the playoffs.
You're right. They're nowhere close to a World
Series. Maybe they win.
Team.
Yeah, I don't even see them winning a series.
No, I don't think they're getting in. But if they do get in, you're right. They don't have a rotation that's strong enough, even with Giolito here. They don't have a bullpen strong enough. Their offense has been good.
It's their lineup.
A lot of that is driven by Ohtani. And then if Trout returns, you have the best 1-2 in baseball. But I don't know. I'm not banking on it.
No.
I'm not. But I'm also, I could see him returning. I think he likes it there. He chose L.A.
But this is the thing about Shohei Ohtani that makes him so intriguing and so much more intriguing than the Messi storyline is nobody knows because nobody understands Ohtani. From my understanding, he goes in and he does his job. He schedules his workday. He throws his side session before his starts, which is very uncharacteristic of starters. He decides how many pitches he's throwing in side sessions. He decides what he's eating, what trainers he's working in when he shows up to the facility. He goes in and does his job and leaves, and he creates his entire schedule himself.
Yeah. He is a unicorn, even within the clubhouse.
So it's so hard to gauge and say, well, based on what I've seen from Shohei, I think he really likes it in LA. Nobody knows.
Yeah, I guess
he might hate it.
He very well could. Maybe he hates LA.
I'm saying right now, I think he winds up in Seattle.
Seattle?
Putting on it right here. What's the date? July 28th.
Well,
going to Seattle.
The thing is about going to Seattle, and that very well could be the case. I think he off-seasoned in Seattle. There's a big Japanese presence.
It's going to be a West Coast team.
I think so because of Japan and the time zones, and but Seattle's never won a World Series either. The Angels have at least won a World Series.
Maybe he doesn't care about winning. I don't know. This is the message I'm getting from him and Trout in LA.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess it's a possibility. All right, we got some more we'll get into. We'll sprinkle in some more intrigues. Victor Wembanyama versus Connor Bedard.
Ooh.
We've got
battle of the first overalls.
Yeah, maybe some Vladdy versus Manoah. We got a number of things we can come up with. In fact, if you want to tweet in some options, shoot. At Hayes TSN on Twitter, at OverDrive TS or OverDrive 1050 on Twitter. I should probably know that. All right, Carol Wagland's in here. I'm Bryan Hayes. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Sean Green will join us in about 15 minutes. We're going to do Dear Hazy B today, but we're also asking people to send in stuff for yourself, Kara.
I'm very excited about this. I've wanted to take part in this segment for a while.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes some of the advice that is doled out is a little questionable.
Listen, you feel free, right? You can criticize all you want, but I will not be censored. I will be giving my full advice. I'm here to help people. These are my patients.
Some of the questions people are tweeting in are already just straight fire.
Is it?
Yeah,
I lose. Yeah, there's just too many coming in, and I have a difficult time going through them all. Because to your point, you end up in rabbit holes. And you start wondering what is actually going on in this person's life.
Some of the problems people have, I'm like, is this really happening in your life?
I think it is. At Hayes TSN on Twitter, at OverDrive 1050 again. If you have 1v1s for the future, the Canadian women back on the pitch on Monday against Australia. You see that they're doing a little media on Saturday. Isn't that nice?
Actually going to do some media. Look at that.
A little bit of media. I guess, I don't know if it was peer pressure or what. If you missed the story yesterday, it came out that the players were only going to do the mandatory media.
Yeah.
I think on the Sunday before the match.
The day before, yeah.
And now they're going to do a little bit of player availability on Saturday. I think that's wise. Again, I have to believe there's players in that locker room that want to speak.
The players can't be fully on board with that.
No.
They want to grow the game just as much as anyone else. All the media that's gone down there for this event, and you're not going to talk to them?
Right. And it's like this is your chance to really blow up your profile. Like really, you're at the World Cup. And it's not about like growing the game to the people that already know about the World Cup. There's a lot of Canadians who aren't quite sure when you're playing. Like that's really what it is. It's about getting people in that aren't really familiar with your story.
Well, and given the times of the matches right now, because of the time difference, like they're already working against that to try and get the eyeballs.
Right.
So let's get out there and talk and create a little buzz.
Let's see what's up.
Man, that match is going to be
talk some smack.
Tough.
Yeah, I mean, mandatory draw. Got to have a draw for Canada.
Yeah,
ideally you win your group and you move on.
Yeah.
But
Australia is desperate, man. They're fighting for their lives now.
And it's going to be a packed house, and you're up against the host. Like, that is not going to be easy. Hour 2 coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.